minutes of that. On Friday, the Huskers are in the rail yard doing the Huskers in the Haymarket event on Canopy Street, and that's at 8 o'clock. At this point, I turn over to Coach Mouse to talk preview of the season.
Thanks, Seamus. I'm excited to be here in front of you guys talking about the Husker basketball team. I think that should be an exciting year. We've got another challenging schedule. I think we've got a strong team. I've got some older players, I believe, that understand success and can help us get there. I think we've made some schematic changes to try and be a better team. We've recruited better shooters. I think we've made some changes from our pack line defense to help us defend the three-point line better. And, those are big items, big picture items that we need to handle. But when I look at it, I just really like this team. And I'll just go down the roster quickly. And if I forget anybody, Seamus, help me out. But if you look at our senior class, I thought that, Evan Taylor did a good job at the end of the year. His best game was the last game of the year. He looks stronger, quicker, more athletic than ever. Anton Gill, I think, has come back well from his injury, probably surprisingly well. The way he's practiced the first 2 days with actually no issues with his knee or soreness, not a lot. So, and then Dubio KK, who we brought in as a grad transfer, is certainly a force to be reckoned with down low in terms of rim protection and some of the things that he can do. He blocks shots. He offensive rebounds. He's an elite athlete. He can stand still, look up in the air and jump up and touch 12 feet. He and Isaiah Roby both can. And that's athleticism we just haven't had. If we go to the junior class, you start with Glenn Watson, Jack McVeigh. Glenn, I believe, will develop into an all-conference type player. I've had the good fortune, we have 14 teams and 15 all-conference spots, and we've been lucky to have Ty, Siobhan, and Turan twice all in those spots. And I think Glenn is that caliber of a player. He just seems better than ever. He seems like a better leader. He seems more confident. I think he now finally feels like this is his team, so to speak, and I would expect him to act and play accordingly. Jack McVeigh does what Jack McVeigh does, only does it with a full beard now. So he makes shots. So and then you look at James Palmer, Isaac Copeland, our two guys we brought in. They were both out last year, sitting out. James Palmer has really practiced well and performed well. He's a guy that can play multiple positions. He's played 1, 2, and 3 for us. If he turns it over, I threaten to play him at the 4. Then he plays better. So Isaac Copeland can play multiple positions, very strong, aggressive player, especially offensively, rebounds well, involved in a lot of action. He and James are both involved in a lot of action. Evan is very active. We've got an active defensive team, which I like. And I think that with what Copeland's done is he's made some of those, and what Dubio KK have done is made those sophomores better. Jordy Chimunga and Isaiah Roby having to compete with those guys specifically at their position that are a little older, more mature, stronger, and aggressive have really helped those two guys out. And I think I like where they're going. Although Jordy had a knee procedure that we did to take care of a little chronic tendonitis. It's more of a preventative measure. So we didn't get out there. So we had to, we just all are sick of the 3 years in a row where we've had to practice guys half a practice here or no practice here and then 2 days. You just can't, you don't get better doing it that way. So for him to be able to maybe practice and play a complete year, I thought that procedure had to be done. And we did so accordingly. He'll be ready to go in about 5 practices. And then our freshmen coming in, as we look at it, Thomas Allen is a guy that can really shoot the ball. He is more off guard than he is two guard at this point. And terrific shooter, terrific with the ball in his hand, uses screen and roll well. Nana Kenton can really shoot the basketball and does an outstanding job as a catch-and-shoot type player. Thor. My man Thor, bring your hammer, kid. And Thor is a guy that really knows how to play. He's adapting well. After he got used to the time change, he's played better and better. There's some elements of his game he needs to improve, like his outside shooting and some of that. And I like where he's at. Our non-scholarship guys, we had 2 guys that were with us and then not with us. and now they're back with us, Johnny Trueblood and Tanner Borhart. And Johnny is playing well, and Tanner looks terrific. If you saw him on media days, he's changed his. Seamus, you better go to the doctor, okay? All right, I'm just telling you. All right, that's serious. All right. No, but Tanner, if you look at him, he's changed his body. He looks, so much more well-defined. He's lost a whole bunch of weight, and his confidence is really growing and growing and growing. He's a kid that could get on the floor. I mean, I would not be stunned to see that happen. And then Justin Costello is also with us, and Justin is doing a good job, true freshman, just picking things up as we go. And I believe that's the roster. My guy's not here anymore, but that's okay. So with that, I'll just open it with any questions.
Coach, every year, every coach talks about it's a new year, it's a new team. Does this really feel like a new team just with the new faces you had?
I thought we reinvented ourselves actually pretty well from, we had losses, we had transfers, we had a key player graduate, and the year before we had a key player, transfer again. And when you get those losses, it just feels bad, looks bad, the whole thing. But I really kind of like where this team's at mentally, physically. I think we've got a lot of length, and it's unique. Last year at this time, I had 3 guys in my office wondering what position they were going to play. This year, I've had none. There's something to be said about that.
You just listed off a whole bunch of guys as far as depth is concerned and playable depth.
Yeah.
Is this as good as you've had?
Yeah, I think this is our deepest team. If we stay, and you still need to stay healthy, though. We have not been able to stay healthy, but we've lacked depth, and that's hurt us. I suppose, we could, in the right, frame, get lucky and survive some injuries, but that's something that I think is important for us to put the same lineup on the floor as consistently as possible.
Tim, talk about Copeland. How big an impact could he have?
He's a huge impact. He'll be a top 1 or 2 scorer for us, top 1 or 2 rebounder, I would expect, a top 3 rebounder. And he's going to learn, though. It's a different style for him. There's still a whole bunch of acclimation. We have to remember it wasn't so long ago he was playing a completely different style at Georgetown. So, but he's an eager learner. He's kind of a cool kid, so you don't always know, but he's been a great teammate, and he's been great to coach.
With guard play being so important, having Glenn and Evan back with so much playing experience, how much are you guys going to lean on them for leadership on the floor?
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, it's when those two are on the same team right now, they just demolish the other guys. But those other younger guys and other guys coming in shoot the ball really well. So it's nice to have them in a complementary role with 2 guys you know and trust that have been through the wars.
Have you given much thought to lineups, rotations, or anything like that?
Yeah, a little bit. I still want to get everybody out there and look at it, but I've seen lineups. I know that we can play big. You could play I could play small. I could play Roby to 5, Copeland at a 4, Palmer to 3, and 2 guards. I could go the exact opposite direction, play a big, and then Roby, Copeland, and 2 other guards. James Palmer at a 2 guard at 6'6". So we could be really long if we wanted to be. Just kind of depends on how everybody gels together, and can we do everything well? Can we handle the ball well, take smart shots, play excellent defense, and all those things? If every group can do that, well, then you've got great flexibility. If you've got other groups that you have to play that aren't doing that well, then you're in a problem. But I think we've got 7 to 9 one-day preps this year. Yeah. So let's say it's 8. All right. 8 one-day preps. For a team that plays mostly man and mostly game plan man, you kind of look at that and you say, holy cow. So I think you're going to see a team, maybe for us, that's been more multiple defenses than you've ever seen. And I've done it press and zone some years, and then mostly man, but we might have to do multiple zones. And I think just with that vast amount of, whatever, over almost 33% of your schedule being one-day preps, that's a lot, and but that's the way it goes with this, what do we call it, season, right?
Hey, Tim, talk about the Big Ten Conference. A lot of teams have several players coming back, starters. How good is the Big Ten this year?
Yeah, well, it's terrific. It's always terrific. I don't care how you look at it. Somebody said, we got 4th when it was 1st in the country. right? It was the #1 league in the country. Last year it was supposed to be down, and we still have 4 teams in the Sweet 16, I think, or whatever it was. I mean, this is a great league. You've got Hall of Fame coaches. You've got programs that are supported and well-resourced. It's an awesome league to be a part of, and you learn a little bit every year. I think Michigan State's going to be terrific. I believe Iowa will be a very good team. I think Minnesota will be a very good team. Purdue, I think they're talking about being a top 25 team. Maryland's always good. Indiana, I think nobody's talking about Indiana, but they're going to be sneaky good. They've got some things going on their way. I don't know about Illinois. Wisconsin lost as much firepower as anyone has lost in this league ever the last 2 seasons. That's a lot to replace. I think we're going to be a lot better. I think we can, make a charge, and I'm glad nobody's talking about us. That's just fine. I'll talk about us. That's my job, but I talk anyway. So when you look at things, I think it's going to be an exciting year for our fans. Talk about the schedule and look at the teams coming in. We've got home games with Boston College and North Dakota, who won their league last year. It's always fun to play the Fighting Hawks, and I just wanted to say that because I'm an NDSU guy, really, and their nickname, Debacle. So hopefully that hits the AP. So they were a conference champion. Of course, then we have Kansas coming in, who's a blue blood. And when you look at this, I didn't take the Kansas game for my own personal well-being. Yeah, I took this for the fans. I took this to show. I wanted to be able to show other Big 12 folks, this is what we're doing here at Nebraska. This is what basketball looks like. And Pinnacle Bank Arena is going to be a spectacular night on, I think, December 16th. And so it should be not that I've got that date circled or anything like that, because they're all circled, but, I really thought that was an important game for us to take, although we're already in the Gavitt games at St. John's. We're always going to play Creighton equally, home and away. So we're at Creighton this year. I think we've got, and then the Orlando tournament, where we're in the bracket with Central Florida, who returns a great team that was semifinals in the NIT. Then Aubrey Dawkins, who's a part-time starter at Michigan, who got 20 on us once, now redshirted last year, and he'll be there too. So you got Central Florida. We draw with West Virginia looming. Those ESPN events that we've chosen to be in last year with Dayton, UCLA, Virginia Tech have really elevated our schedule. Last year, I think we were after regular season, a top 3 or 5 non-conference schedule. I think we'll be probably top 10 this year in a non-conference schedule. And so I think we'll be well positioned that if we can do it right and win enough games to, have a strong enough, I call it a standard of play. It's who you play and how you play. Your schedule and then your chance to win every game that you play on your schedule is your playing style, right? Give ourselves a chance to win every night. Those things fit together. I've always said that since I was the head coach at Mayville. And I believe it's true. How you schedule is really important, and we've always scheduled more difficult than we have easier. And sometimes I wish that hadn't been true at the end of the season when things haven't gone as well as I'd hoped, but I haven't changed yet, so apparently we just keep doing the same insanity. But I think it'll be a lot of fun for our fans, especially once we get, we have this grueling, from St. John's through Kansas is just an incredible, we have 2 Big Ten games in there, the Big Ten ACC Challenge at Creighton, at St. John's, Boston College at home, Kansas at home, and then that ESPN tournament is going to be a really, tough stretch, and that's where I thought it was key to get Copeland available, and we were fortunate enough to have that happen.
It just seems like there's a lot of optimism around the team right now, but on the other end of that, what is your biggest point of concern about where this team is entering start practices?
There's some things we don't do well. We turn the ball over too much. We take dumb shots. We don't play any defense. But other than those 3 things, we're fine. But we're not the only ones this time of year doing those same things. So I feel good about that. We have time to recover.
Do you tell your guys we need to win X amount of games if we want to get to where we want to go, or do you even look big picture?
We talk a little bit about this is more a veteran group, so they know. Like one year, I had a freshman tell me, in my 5 years here, I had a freshman tell me he was halfway through the year before he realized that not everybody didn't make the NCAA tournament. like a high school tournament, like everybody makes a sectional or whatever. Like it just occurred to him, like, oh, halfway through the year, we're not just in the NCAA, huh? Like, no, you're not, we always ask the freshmen, how many teams are in the Big 12? I asked a kid from Kansas City. He says 12. I'm like, 10. Right? I said, then a kid from right in the middle, Illinois, how many teams are in the Big 10? He goes, oh, I know this is a trick question. And so he goes, 12. I said, no, there's 14 now. And so these kids can't even name the leagues anymore. So it's a different world, right? And when you look forward to it, though, I like the vibe of this team. I'm not, I'm totally, I coach every year with the same amount of enthusiasm and the same expectations that we're always going to have.
This event on Friday seems pretty unique on Canopy Street. Whose brainchild was that, and how quick were you to get on board with it?
Well, I almost say yes to everything that, I think might spike attention in our program, unfortunately. But I think it was one of my operations guys, and then we invited the women to be a part of it. Maybe or not this one. We're also going to do another public scrimmage later in a couple of weeks that we invited the women to be a part of that one. So I think this was a two-headed monster to begin with. But I think those things are great. I think it'll be cool. We did a little bit something last year as a life skills event outdoors, and I think that kind of precipitated this.
You mentioned liking the vibe. What's the vibe been like? It seems like from what we
It's a good vibe.
get along.
Do you know a good vibe from a bad vibe?
Some days.
Okay, well, you've never made your wife mad then. So, the guys get along. They compete hard. They compete well. We've got more fighters than they compete hard against each other. It's not like there's a pecking order or a caste system in place. I think I don't know how many years I've been a head coach, 21 or 22. How many is it? 22. And it's just different every year. That's the cool thing about it, is you got to reinvent yourself every year. And this year was a little more challenging at the end of last spring, and we all felt bad, and all the, it was just not a good place to be. And we haven't played a game yet, but at the same time, this is a good group to go to battle with.
How long did it take you, not just the coaching staff, but the players, to kind of get over how last season and kind of start to be ready for this year?
Not long. I mean, it was like, let's go. I can say about 5 other things, but let's go was in there at the end.
Coach, on a different matter, did the scandal with the shoes and the AAU coaches, did it surprise you how maybe involved this was or how deep this was?
Well, first of all, I've had very positive associations with Adidas. They've been, people that we've known well, and we've had a long association with them here at Nebraska, and it's just sad. I know some of those guys. I know their families, and whether it be the assistant coaches or the Adidas reps or whatever. And so you feel awful that what the involvement was of that. And I'm confident that our program is in the right direction, doing the right things. So you don't worry about it, but you worry about what the ramifications are for college basketball, and at the same time, it's maybe a good thing. Maybe this had to come out the way it did, and maybe it'll be a better world because of it. College basketball world. And it's just a tough deal to witness, really.
Do you think there's a lot of cheating going on?
I don't know. Every time you get beat on a recruit, you're like, oh, they're cheating. Of course they're cheating. We couldn't have. My sunny personality and disposition would have never got out recruited. What are you talking about? You mean I didn't call the guy every day and read poetry to him? No, I didn't. He did? Okay, you can have him. So, whatever. So I don't know. You hear stuff, but I don't know what's true and what's not true.
A lot of people made, a lot about guys transferring out of the program, but you guys have transfers coming in as well, to be
And we're like the 4th highest high major with transfer ins.
Yeah, so talk about, to people out there how you benefited from the transfer market as well, I guess.
Some of our highest level guys have been transfers in, right? And we're a very attractive landing spot for, you name it. Louisville, Florida, Kansas, Texas, you just name the guys, right? Georgetown, whatever league you're in, with the exception of the Big Ten. And we provide a great opportunity for high-level guys. I think we play a friendly playing style for guys that want to come in and develop their skill. We work really hard with them. Obviously, exposure of the Big Ten and of our program. I think we've lifted our profile a little bit as we played in more major events. That Nebraska basketball is not this thing you never hear of or never talk about. It's more prevalent than ever. And so we want to just continue that, and we want to win more, too.
Tim, we haven't gotten your reaction to this since Sean was let go. And have you talked to Dave at all?
Yeah, talked to Dave a little bit. It's sad to see Sean go for he and his family. You hate to see anybody go through that. You have to trust your leadership, which is Ronnie and Hank, our chancellor and our president, and now Dave. And you just have to put your faith in them. Now, this is my third head coaching job in Division I, and think of it. So this will be I've dealt with 7 football coaches in 3 jobs. This will be the 8th athletic director, I believe, and 6 presidents. So, I mean, that's just, like, I've never finished a job with any of the guys that hired me. You know, I forgot about guys, oh, that's right, he was the coach there my first year, or whatever it was. And it's just, those are all major power positions on a university. So that's kind of part of life. I hope I'm not the Black Widow. So, but at the same time, you look at those things, and that's a little bit of a part of life. But Sean is very smart. He's got the students' best intentions in mind. There's no doubt that he's got a strong enough resume that he's going to land on his feet.
Coach Moss?
Thanks.
Yeah.